thank you. Now we are monitoring breaking news just into our newsroom. President Obama has officially declared a major disaster in New York, thus following Hurricane Sandy.
That's right. This morning, the storm has been downgraded to a post-tropical superstorm, as you just heard Adam mention. The superstorm packed a punch on the East Coast yesterday, bringing heavy winds, flooding, and even snow. 61 people were killed in the Caribbean, and this morning 15 deaths have been confirmed here in the United States. The National Weather Service is predicting, quote, historic and life-threatening coastal flooding through this morning, with the greatest danger coming at high tides.
And Sandy comes ashore as a still dangerous superstorm this morning, leaving behind a drenched and windswept East Coast.
That's right. Our coverage continues this morning, and we turn it over to Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader.
The rain here in the mid-Atlantic area has become somewhat intermittent now. Sandy, meantime, has moved inland and become a different kind of storm.
The center of Sandy screamed ashore in New Jersey, but the impact spanned for hundreds of miles. In New York City, landfall was near the worst possible time, high tide. Early reports show flooded subways and streets, millions now without power. The skyline went dark. One hospital was evacuated. Some residents left in just the nick of time.
Old people that don't want to leave their home. I'll stay here no matter what. I'll stay. I said, Mom, I'm carrying you out of here if I have to.
Off the coast of North Carolina, the Coast Guard rescued crew members of the tall ship HMS Bounty, which foundered in heavy seas. One person later died, the captain still missing. Others who were in Sandy's path may simply have to wait for conditions to improve.
By now, a lot of people have heeded the evacuation orders. Places like this just seem deserted. On the other hand, a lot of people have been through big storms recently, like Hurricane Irene last year. So you run into sentiments like this. Irene was easy. Bring on Sandy.
And forget the rain and tidal surge for a moment. It's snow that's already hitting West Virginia. Blizzard conditions expected. And as far west as Chicago, emergency planners are bracing for their own challenges.
Lake winds are going to be 50 to 60 miles per hour. Waves could exceed the 24-foot mark.
Now, people may start returning home in some of these areas as early as today, but there is still a long cleanup ahead. In Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, Doug, thank you. Well, 16 Oregon Red Cross volunteers are among some of the thousands heading to the East Coast, all to assist those affected by Sandy. 2 volunteers from the Southern Oregon branch have been deployed to Philadelphia as well as New York. Now, volunteers will help set up shelters, and they'll also train other volunteers to help provide some health services. Now, if you want to help with the relief effort, you can always donate by simply texting Red Cross to 90999. Now, that would make a $10 donation from your cell phone account. You can also go online to their website at redcross.org or donate at any Red Cross donation center.
As Sandy continues on its track through the East Coast, officials here at home are taking the opportunity to remind people to always be prepared for an emergency. According to Ashland CERT, emergency preparedness is not enough of a priority for many of us. They remind having the 72-hour kit with plenty of food and water, a first aid kit, maps, and your personal information, including your insurance cards.
You can purchase a already prepared kit. So they make them in backpack form, bucket form, in a rolling gallon form, depending upon how many people you have in your household.
Created in 1999, the community actually came together with this organization to help figure out ways to deal with emergencies. The group was actually created back in 1999, and Ashland's CERT program has trained over more than 540 volunteers to date.
And happening now, a major earthquake in British Columbia has scientists on edge this morning as strong aftershocks continue to strike the region. Fox 26's Kyle Averman has been monitoring the earthquake. He does join us live with the latest. Kyle, good morning.
Courtney, good morning. A large number of aftershocks have been felt after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of British Columbia on Saturday. Now, last night, the U.S. Geological Survey says a 6.2 magnitude aftershock struck the region. However, there have been no reports of any immediate damage or injuries. Now, experts say that last night's aftershock did not generate any sort of tsunami. Now, nearly 80 quakes in the same area have been registered of a magnitude 4.0 or higher since Saturday. Now, this comes as a big concern for several seismologists in the area who say Saturday's quake could affect us here in the Northwest. Officials at the seismology lab at the University of Washington say they are monitoring the region because typically when one earthquake strikes, more trigger. Now, experts explain that the West Coast from Alaska to Northern California is under tremendous geological pressure, and that release of a major pressure in a section of a fault can add pressure to another section. Now, scientists also believe that the latest earthquakes could have an effect on volcanoes, most specifically in Washington, but so far, everything is quiet. Live at the iNews Center, Kyle Laverman, Fox 26 News.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Now to our big story that we're following today here at home. A Grants Pass man is the first medical marijuana grower in Oregon to be sentenced to time in prison on federal charges. This morning, Jason Nelson faces 10 years behind bars after a U.S. District Court convicted him of conspiracy to grow and sell more than 100 marijuana plants, as well as possession of unregistered machine guns and other weapons. Officials say the man used shipments
insurers between $5 and $10 billion. Moody's Analytics says the broader impacts of the U.S. economy will be noticeable but temporary.
And following up, but also new this morning, the second of two bodies found on an abandoned ranch in southern Oregon has been identified.
The shippers are
the Oregon
redirecting
State
their
Police
volume
Crime
flow.
Lab
This is peak
confirmed
time for
that the
many of
body
them
was in
working to
fact
get
the
inventory
man they
to
believed it
retailers.
to be
For shoppers
32-year-old
to buy in time
Everando
for the
Menendez
holidays.
Seja
And
of
huge news for
Richmond,
Apple.
California.
And investors can't
Now,
respond
last Friday,
to it.
the other body
Apple
was
CEO
positively
Tim
identified
Cook
as
pushing out the head of
38-year-old
the mobile
Ricardo
software group
Waregi
and
of
the
Oakley,
retail
California.
chief.
Now,
The New York
both
Stock
men were
Exchange,
reported
meanwhile,
missing back in
doing everything
October.
in its
Their
power
bodies
to
were
open for
found
business
with
tomorrow.
gunshot wounds
Officials
on
are
October
testing
18th near
contingency
Bonanza.
plans today.
Police are still
That's business. For more on
investigating as to
Sandy's
why
wrath, be
those
sure to
men
log
were
on to
killed.
foxbusiness.com.
The investigation continues this morning after a man and his
Lauren
dog are
Simonetti.
shot on their property.